Hello, church. Welcome to Be Bold, Be Humble, Believe. This is Brother Dean. It's good to see you all again. I hope that you're having a great week and that you've been able to be in church. And we're getting close to Christmas. It's coming up here. And I don't know how many days are left. It's all a blur at this point. But make sure that you take care of the people that you love during Christmas and be with those who you care about. And of course, remember the story of Christ and the real reason Christmas is around. And I did a little study on something that on Christmas and how it's been secularized and used to sell product, and that's kind of what it is. And people forget what the true meaning of course, Jesus and the birth of Christ and our Savior. And we celebrate His birthday. Do not forget that. And we all get gifts because He's so generous. And but understand there was some interesting things going on with many years ago as to why Santa Claus even became who we think he is now, and those origins and all that. But you can take a look at that some other time. Maybe I'll have an episode where I talk about that and just let you know what I found. But speaking of Christmas, I wonder if anybody's ever seen the movie Home Alone. Home Alone is a fun movie um, from the '90s. And the actor, the young man Macaulay Culkin, of course, plays a young man who's left alone at his home without his family. His family flies to France, actually France, and they try to vacation there, and then they realize they had forgotten their son. And then the story is about him, surviving those few days, and the mom trying to get back to rescue her son from being alone. And so the interesting is that young man, that boy, was 8 years old when he started that, and he woke up that morning completely alone, and he was he was forced, literally forced, to be independent. And of course, it's a movie. I get that. It's just a fun thing. It just the thought of being alone for a kid is scary, but also enticing at the same time. And how he fends off those would-be robbers and single-handedly takes them back. But he goes shopping. Um, he's at multiple stores, and then he's taking care of the house. He's ordering pizza. He's watching movies and stuff. He's kind of independent. He's taking care of himself. He's not just laying in his room staring at a screen, which is interesting because if that movie was made now, I believe that the kid would probably spend most of the first day and probably evening and night not even realizing that he was alone, because the kid would realize, oh, I can just play my Xbox or PlayStation, or I can get on my phone or computer, and he would just spend the whole time there. Whereas, of course, in the '90s, there was something called the play-based childhood. And an 8-year-old young man, that was very feasible for him to kind of take care of himself, even go shopping and ice skating and doing all this stuff. And then the second movie is Lost in New York. Same type of crazy things take place, and somehow he's found and taken care of. But he's able to kind of fend for himself. Um, and kids are resilient like that. My son has grown like 4 inches in the year 2024. I know we marked that, and and so it's 4 inches. Now he's still growing. I think he's grown another 2 or 3 since then, and here's through 2025, and um, we've had plenty of discussions. When I was his age, I was riding my bike all throughout all of Milwaukee. We were just biking everywhere. My brother and I and neighborhood kids we'd just take off and we'd go visit. We got a friend over there in West Dallas. We got a friend out here in Greendale. We all would go bike and go find them. We kind of have our idea of where we were in the city, but we would be biking all over the place, and it would always a lot of fun, just having a good time. We'd get ourselves in trouble. We'd stop and eat somewhere, whatever. But we were kind of by ourselves. And my son grew up, and so he was going to bike out towards somewhere, and my wife was kind of nervous about it. And I said, "Look at him. He's looks like a grown man. If somebody wanted to kidnap a grown man, which is odd to say the least, that's what they would target him. Let him go." and we let him go by himself, biked somewhere, played basketball or something like that, and it's okay. Um, but it's a time in his life. There's a time in his life where he's experimenting with independence. And my daughter, same thing. She's growing up more and more. I want her to become more and more independent or be able to be independent. I'm not saying that an 8-year-old, like the movie, an 8-year-old, we're not worried about, he should be independent. Well, the truth is, a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, there should be a pretty good level of independence. Of course, you should not be tying his shoe anymore. You should not have to. Honestly, you shouldn't even have to wake them up in the morning. They should be able to get up with an alarm clock. They should be able to know, well, I should shower now. They should know, oh, this is the chores I know I have to do, and I take care of them now. There's certain independent things that they should be going. Listen, here's the baseline. There is scientific evidence that if one goes through puberty doing a lot of sports, video games, painting, or social media, those activities will cause lasting structural changes in the brain, especially if those activities are rewarding. This is the statement you need to know. Neurons that fire together wire together. Okay, that's what that means. So a young man going through puberty. Okay. Other scientific term that you need to know and you should understand is myelination. Okay, I know that's, you can look it up. MYEL something or other. Myelination. It refers to the coating of axons of neurons with an insulation sheet. Okay, but this is what it does. All right, it makes transmission faster across long distance connections in your brains. Okay, so think of it this way. You cannot write something in hardened cement. You can't. You can maybe chisel it, but it's much more difficult. And as you grow, your brain, solidifies. It gets a little harder and harder, and that's literally what the brain is. But going through puberty, it's soft. It's malleable. Okay, so you could just like Michael Scott did in The Office, just sink your face all the way into the cement, and it solidifies. It's always there. And so that's what puberty is. So them going through doing play-based activities. So you have, like I said, biking around. Okay, like my life, or growing up, we were adventurous, and we tried to do things that were that kind of stuff. I played a lot of basketball. That became something that I love. Sports, it became something I love because going through that time in my life, I was learning that. I was doing that. I was even studying that. I cared about that. It became something as if somebody wrote basketball across my brain because it was soft. And so here, Lawrence Steinberg notes that adolescence is not necessarily an especially stressful time, which we think, it's just stressful on that child. No, rather, it is a time when the brain is more vulnerable to the effects of sustained stresses that could tilt the adolescent into mental disorders. And so that time is so precious. It's so special. And so you have some young person that's going through the adolescence and entering puberty, their brain is becoming extremely malleable. And so often what happens during those times is we hand them what? A device. And they get this device. They're 12, 13, there's kids as young as 8, 9 years old who have cell phones and have access to all of this stuff. And here you go. And now their brain is going to be moved. It's going to be changed. And these things are going to start taking place because they're going through all of this with their puberty. They're going through with this. And not a play-based puberty. So the less adventurous, they become lethargic and even have mental disorders. Look at the problems that we're having across America right now, and you are seeing mental disorders in young people, teenagers, children even, that it's going to take them a while before they can grow up. They're having all this great anxiety. They're even contemplating suicide and others. Why? Because during the time when their brain was soft and malleable, we gave them devices. Stop giving your kids devices. Stop giving them tablets, well, so that they could sit quietly in church. No, teach them to be quiet in church. Stop giving them stuff like that because what? It's going into their brain, and they now need that. Their brain becomes wired into that. So, in closing, today, puberty is therefore a period when we should be particularly concerned about what our children are experiencing. It is a time to write in that soft cement of their brain independence, strength, integrity, and for the believer, the fruits of the Spirit. That's that time. Now, my older son has a tablet that we heavily monitor. And he uses it for some schoolwork or communication, but he's not just surfing. He gets a limited amount of time during the day where he's allowed to use it. You know what he really wants to do? He wants to play basketball with his friends, and he wants to be out doing stuff. That's what we need. But the truth is, most kids nowadays, many of them don't even have bikes. They don't have a bike, let alone somebody who's going to ride a motorcycle or a four-wheeler or even take a walk. No, it's much better to just be on your Xbox or whatever the virtual reality type stuff nowadays, or watch a movie. It's disgusting, but this is what we've come to in this country, and this is what we've come to with our kids. Stop allowing your kids to be dependent on devices. What we need to do, take this time of their life, that adolescent time, and write in the soft cement of their minds what they're supposed to be, according to God. I hope that's a challenge to you, young parents especially. I hope that's a challenge and a help to you. But understand, love you, and I hope that you have a great week. And take this time in their life seriously, all right? God bless you.